JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, May 8th, 8:56 a.m. on this fine morning. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P up about 0.75% here. Another gap higher yesterday. Slight gap higher today. Much larger gap higher on reports that, well, news that the UK and US has struck a trade deal. Oh my gosh. POTUS will be out at 10 a.m. to discuss it. Uh, uh, I mean, good sign, right? That's kind of what we want, or at least if you want the market to hold up or melt higher, you want to see some deals happen. Otherwise, the uncertainty and how that's going to weigh on the economies and global economy, it's just going to increase and probably negatively, right? So, uh, good sign there. It's probably around autos, steel. Who knows what that looks like? But maybe it offers kind of like a blueprint for what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks, right? And hopefully, it's a good blueprint and not just a small little deal. Oh yeah, we agreed to they're gonna import our beef, right? Who knows what that all looks like, but hopefully it's positive somewhat. And me, I put it on the watch list. Like I'm not a big fan of big gaps up, right? Typically, even if we end the day higher, the gaps are usually sold at some point. Not all of it, but some of it during the day, which means that if you try and trade in the morning, you're probably getting something at the highs, right? So I don't know if I'll be aggressive in the morning, especially into 10 a.m. And then you got to worry, yeah, Bourbon. And then you got to worry, will it be a sell the news event or if there's some kind of disappointment? So that's kind of in the back of my head. I hope not. But to me, the optimist in me says, let's get a deal that serves as that's good for both sides, good for a blueprint for the rest of the deals that may come out, and kind of remove this whole cloud of what could put a damper on the global economy, right? If that can get removed a little bit, I think that just bodes well. So even in the midst of yesterday and early this week, I thought 570 on the SPY would happen if Fed Chair Powell was able to at least ease concerns, and he kind of did that yesterday. I mean, the market was higher, we gapped, and then right after the Fed statement came out, sellers came in because they added the lines of heightened or raised uh, inflation and unemployment concerns, right? So the risks right there have risen, and that wasn't on the last statement. So people looked at that, so that's not good. And then he came out and he pretty much just said, wait and see. Hard data is strong, hard data is strong. And they kept asking when he's going to cut rates. He says when hard data is not as strong, right? So that I guess that kind of to me, you kind of want to you want the Fed to be in a position where they can do some adjustments if the crap hits the fan. So they're still in a position to do that. I mean, you look back in 2008. I was saying before the the Fed had rates at 2% going into 2008, 2009, somewhere there before the financial crisis. So they didn't really have as much in a way of the capability to cut rates. And the Fed already cut rates a percent. So anyway, so I think we'll have to see how next week plays out and earnings, and there's still some earnings. But I think if we can get a decent blueprint today, and then we have talks over the weekend, maybe with China, there's some kind of either pause or ratchet back. To me, ideally, I would want to see a pause. Uh, and then I think that kind of sets the market. I'm not saying we're going to get to new all-time highs, but maybe we can melt higher here and constructive long-term plays. That would be the ideal scenario. We'll see. Nothing's off the table to surprise me after what's happened so far over the last month and a half. Also, the amount of stock trading over their 50-day moving average over 50% on the S&P, so that bodes well. The trend is your friend, as they always say. Um, and then the yields are kind of holding up. The U.S. dollar is a little stronger. So even yesterday, in the midst of all the sell-off, yields were going down and the dollar was strengthening, right? And if you were a bear in the midst of the sell-off yesterday, right after the Fed statement, I'm watching them. I'm like, wow, we might hit 555 on a SPY. I almost came close to getting SQQQ calls as a hedge, right? Uh, but thankfully, and so many times over the years, it's like knee-jerk reactions that we see it move down, and then he comes on and talks, and it's moved the other way, and then those hedges are penniless, bidless within a matter of an hour. So not saying they don't serve a purpose because obviously they let you hold it instead of getting panicked and selling all your call positions. Uh, but it's just funny how that all works. All right. So now just individual names. First five are disappointing that, I got the calls, wasn't able to close some to cover costs into earnings. Then it has great earnings. The stock closed up nearly 9% yesterday. My calls lost premium. That's kind of like disappointing, but that's how it goes in the option world, right? Trading with options. Sometimes you can get the direction right, you can get a big move, but time works against you, right? Or the implied volatility into the earnings was too high. Still like this one. I think you take a look, it's over its 200-day moving average. 2740 was the big area. It's over that. This morning, Needham reiterated a buy rating, 30 something dollar price target. I think it trades into the low 30s next week. So hopefully get a chance here today to close some out to cover costs, ride the rest. Love the Fiverr story. And then yesterday I added more TripAdvisor calls. So uh, Trip was great at the start at the end of last year and into this year. I had June, I had monthly strikes. I closed a lot of those into earnings. Its last earnings, I closed the June, some of the Junes in to cover costs before that, and then it had the earnings, and the earnings were, I thought they were okay. The first for the fourth quarter, but the stock tumbled, and then of course tariffs, the whole uncertainty situation in markets, and it just dragged it down to multi-year lows. Uh, and then it started to bounce, and then you look at the earnings. I'm like, wow, great opportunity. Once it started to break 14, I went and got some June strikes. The thing is, uh, the the premiums on the calls are a heck of a lot less expensive than they were earlier this year, right? So when the stock was like 13 bucks in January, or whatever, the $15 calls a month out were like 75 cents or a dollar, much more expensive. So for me to be able to get the Junes, and I still have June 21 freebies. So I mean, obviously a 50% move here on the stock in the next month to get there, but I still think this trade's over 15. And then you look at similar 200-day moving average at 1470. Gets over that, I think it's off to the races. So love the Trip story. Uh, and then some other names. So I haven't really been too aggressive this week, but I got the PM calls finally, all-time high break. I mean, this looks like even if the market sells off, it's going to hit 180. So it's like momentum's on its side. Another great story. I'm not going to go on a rant on that one. And then some of the other names here, gapping higher. Deckers, which was up 3% yesterday, gapping another 3% here in the pre-market. Well, I don't think it will take much to get over 130. I'm hoping it happens by tomorrow. If not, if it shows some strength today, it gets over 125. I might look to get some calls into next week because I think not only with the UK, US news, and then we also have the China news over the weekend. So still like Decker, RH, Wayfair. RH is in the 193, 194 range here in the pre-market. Obviously need a monster move for the rest of my freebie calls, but similar. I mean, I played RH the last couple of weeks on Fridays. Great opportunity, I think, between today and tomorrow for some spec lotto trades. I might continue to look at RH as a name to trade, especially if you can get over 200 bucks. You look at its 50-day moving average 216. Only a matter of time before that starts to break out. That's W. Oh, Reddit, disappointing, right? So, I mean, I've been watching it all week after trading it last week and the week before. It's frustrating all the way up, 115, 116, 117 Monday, or I don't know if it got up there. Then it just sold off. Then Tuesday, same thing. Then yesterday, I mean, down another 4%. And then you have these folks, so Josh Brown come out and says he sold Reddit. Josh Brown who said buy, I forget, whatever. Not here. So, and then you have Hedge Eye, I was talking about yesterday afternoon on rant. Andrew Friedman. I don't even know how these people get credit on some of these headlines, right? That come up. It's like, how's he get on there? Because I remember back in the day, he was short Netflix. This is a long time ago. Hedge has been short Tesla, whatever. I'm not here but to me, I think they have it wrong. So some of the bear case that Josh Brown cited was around Google Trends, right? The search, and I don't even know, like, how can you tie that into Reddit, because Reddit's totally different. I don't think Reddit relies on being its ranking on Google searches, right? I don't think people Google search and hit Reddit. I think that ecosystem is so strong now. It's almost like the other way around, where people start using Reddit to find answers and solutions, right? And it's almost like, back in the day, all you had, I mean, my own fault, not to go on a rant, but I used to be bearish on some of these auto part makers, right? Because in my opinion, if you have Amazon and you had YouTube, you can do almost any car repair, and not all the car repairs, but some of the simple ones, right? So that was kind of like my bear case. But now you do have YouTube, but you also have Reddit, right? And Reddit's the same thing. You can say, how do I make the best pizza on the planet? And your only option used to be Google, right? And then Google brings up all these sites. But now, if you're part of that Reddit ecosystem, it's almost like you go to Reddit, because not only do you get the recipe, but then you get comments underneath that are interactive, and a lot of data. So anyway, not rants for other days. That's how I wrap my head around negating that bear case of, hey, I can't be a holder, like Josh Brown said, of Reddit because of Google Trends. So I get if he's saying that he can't be long Reddit and short Google, just because it's like a conflict of fighting himself, right? It's almost like a pair trade, I guess. So anyway, that's how I kind of look at Reddit. So anyway, let's have a great day, folks. I'll be back on audio later. Hopefully, no shenanigans or disappointments at 10 o'clock. Markets hold their footing, hold the gap. wouldn't be surprised to see a little pull and then maybe a sell the news at 10 o'clock, and then markets find footing and hopefully close above the open. That'd be a good sign. And then maybe 570s tomorrow. That would be ideal into the weekend. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.